Hi, everybody. It's Matt from Discover College Soccer. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, whether that's on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I also wanted to let you know about the Discover College Soccer Study Table. This is our brand new online portal that is complete with a 14-part online course giving you all of the ins and outs of the college soccer recruiting process. There's also a wealth of resources such as checklists, templates. There's the spreadsheets that have every soccer program in the country along with their coaches, their contact information, their social media information, some basic stats about the school, and more. Plus, there's an online community where you can ask your questions, share your wins, your losses, any questions that you may have around the college soccer recruiting process. It's all there at the Discover College Soccer study table that you can find at discovercollegesoccer.com/study table, and hopefully we will see you there.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Scott Martin from Pfeiffer University in North Carolina. Welcome, Coach.
No, thank you, Matt. Happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you. I'm excited. It's a nice Division III program there in North Carolina. When I was playing in DC, we got as far down as North Carolina Wesleyan once, but didn't get to play Pfeiffer. But so. We're at springtime. It's the showcase season, everything going on. So let's talk recruiting a little bit. As a D3 program, kind of where are you at in your calendar? Have you wrapped up 23s? Are you still got a few left? What does your calendar look like normally for a recruiting class?
Yeah, so typically by this point, early March, we are really just trying to close a deal with the last few recruits on our board. These are typically impact players. We have a pretty good idea that they could come in right away and add to the program. So typically this late in the process, it is just those kids who have really invested a lot of time in trying to secure that D1 or D2 offer that are still on our boards. But to give a more general timeline, it is right around this time, March to really May of the junior year, students that were compiling our database and evaluating players and trying to get our boards right. So, we might add approximately 1,000 players to our recruitment board. So it's a no stone left unturned type of approach. But even within that, we'll identify players that maybe aren't quite at the caliber we need, and players who are gung-ho on that D1 or D2 offer. So the list does trim pretty quickly. We definitely find the players that are heavily invested in making that progress with our recruitment. So typically in the summer, we're looking to add some additional players through camps. We'll host our own camps, which you can find on the Discover College Soccer website. Yeah, got that plug.
Good man.
So yeah, we'll add some players through our camps, and we do like to see players in a live setting. And if we get to work with the players at the camps, even better. So you get an experience of what it's like to train with us, and then we also get an idea of how you train, which is a big part of revealing that character that we really want to identify. So by the fall season, we want to get you on campus. Hopefully you're attending some of our games. And then with showcase season, so November to January, it's really just a matter of helping the recruits kind of define what they're looking for and wrap up the book. So try to figure out what you want to do with life and, which program you want to work with.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Well, when you say you're adding all these players to your original board, so is a lot of that just inbound traffic? Is that from talking to club coaches, high school coaches? Is it using some of those recruiting services that are out there? How are you building that initial pool of recruits?
All of the above. So we do get a decent amount of inbound traffic, but we also make an effort to have a presence at ID camps, especially with the larger universities. So, typically someone who will go to next door UNC Charlotte ID camp, maybe they're not quite at the level where they can get that interest from UNCC, but they're probably our level. So we've had a lot of success with those connections with UNCC, High Point, UNC. So those camps have been very productive for us. And we go in with the mindset that everyone there is on the board. So camps are a big part of it, but then also just cold outreach from showcases. So we do get a decent number of players who reach out to us, but then we also go to identify players that we feel fit positions of need. So we're very, very busy during the peak recruitment season or camp seasons. But overall, I mean, we've seen this year, this should be our strongest class ever at D3, which granted is only 7 years at this point, or 6 years. But I think that approach has been really productive in helping us get the recruits in the door that we're really targeting.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. In terms of events, what are some of the events you get to? And I'm sure the Raleigh Showcase is prime and ready, but what are some of the other events that you guys make sure you're at each year?
So the great thing about our location is that we know there's going to be an ECNL showcase in Greer each December. We know the following week we're going to be at the NCFC showcase. Charlotte Independence had a showcase back in February. Looking at our calendar, Jeff Cup is in Richmond. That's just a couple hours away. So we'll have a presence there. There's the E64 showcase in Greensboro, which is an hour down the road. And then there's the ECRL regional championship, which will also be at Greensboro. So, I mean, we have so many recruitment opportunities to look at high caliber players just within 2 or 3 hours of our campus. So we try to have a presence at each of those events, first just to get the name out there, and then second to really start developing those relationships with the players. Developing the relation, that is a really important part of the process for us. We want to know who's coming into our program, and are they going to add value to our culture, or are they just going to be a number, or kind of be anonymous along the way? So we're very active in getting to know recruits on the board.
Well, I may see you up in Greensboro for that ECNLR show stuff. It looks like my daughter's team will be up there.
Live
So,
podcast.
yeah, exactly. There you go. Well, whether it's at an event, at a camp, anything like that, what is it that you're really looking for in players? What is that hierarchy of things, whether it's on the field, off the field, that helps you whittle down that number to say, okay, these are the guys we want?
Yeah, so I think just that starting mindset that everyone at the camp is on the board, unless one of the D1s or D2s has already developed a relationship with them. I think that helps us. We go in looking for the best talent available, but talent really is just the starting point. So once we identify who those top players are, we want to see if they're coachable. We want to see if, even when they're with a random group of players that they've never played with before, is the mentality right? Like, we're looking for signs of performance. So when they lose the ball, are they still counter pressing? Are they trying to be leaders out on the field and directing their teammates? With goalkeepers especially, like, we don't write down a name unless we hear them. So we want players who are leaders, who are vocal, and will bring some kind of a voice to the field. And if you can do it with a complete group of strangers, the odds are you can have some kind of a voice even during your freshman year. So we want players who come in with that personal sense of responsibility and see that they have a voice that's valued, and we expect it to be in practice when they show up on campus. So I guess just other little things that we're looking for. If we get to work with the players directly, are they coachable? When they make mistakes, do they fix them? We want to see that they're thinking their way through the game and trying to figure out what's going wrong and how to correct them. So I love when a recruit, doesn't make the same mistake twice. So that tells me that they're mentally engaged and they're looking for a way to consistently improve the way they interact with the game.
No, that's a great way to look at it. Well, in terms of you say, leaving no stones unturned. Have you guys dabbled in the transfer portal at all? Are you looking at international recruits at all? That tends to be two of the things that are affecting a lot of incoming freshmen these days, is being recruited against transfers and internationals.
Yeah, so there are a couple teams in our conference who have great packages for internationals. I know at least one of them has been on the Discover College Soccer podcast. We are not one of those schools. So last year we had one international. This year, I'm not sure if we'll have any, and that's just because we are not able to compete financially with many other schools. And if you are a good international student and you can afford to come here, you can probably afford a lot of schools. So the downside is we're not financially competitive with a lot of internationals, but the upside is that we tend to be very competitive with the domestic students. So that's really where we have, where we've done well this year and in years past. And, with the transfer portal in particular, we will have some success there, but it tends to be more word of mouth. So, I know of some programs that have someone working specifically to look at the transfer portal and reach out to every recruit that's on there. We don't have that kind of manpower. So, but what we do have is we have a team full of guys who have played club their whole lives, and they know of people who are unhappy at their current colleges, or that they are in the portal and they're looking to leave, and so they're reaching out to their buddies. And so we tend to use those relationships, take it more of an inbound way of recruiting through the portal rather than aggressively going out after the people who are listed. So it's just a little bit more effective and a better use of our time.
No, completely understood. Well, you mentioned, folks trying to be able to afford Pfeiffer. So I'm gonna not put you on the spot with exact numbers, but can you just give us an overall view of what the tuition, financial aid, scholarships, just kind of what a general package might look like for an incoming soccer player?
Yeah, so all in, the cost is about 46 right now, but no one pays that price. So our top financial aid package, just in terms of academic merit scholarship, is 22,000. So if you're out of state, you get an additional 2,000, and that's really just to counteract the fact that you don't qualify for North Carolina need-based aid. So we do try to give a little bit of help to the out-of-state residents. So we do have an honors program here as well. So there are 4 full tuition covered spots for each honors class that comes in, as well as a potential of a minimum of $2,000 just by being in the honors program. So we do look to I run study hall here, so I do tend to look for higher GPA students, so I don't have to spend as much time tracking them down throughout the year. So the upside is we've had success getting people into the honors program. And that just helps them financially too. So a better study environment in the dorms, but also just a little more financial help. So I think overall, when I look at our team, that I would say most kids are paying anywhere from 10 to 15 per year. So, and if they're commuter students, so we do have a decent number of those on our team. So we do try to recruit very heavily within our 30-mile radius. If you're a good student and you live within 30 miles of Meisenheimer, so roughly the east side of Charlotte or closer, I mean, you can get in here for next to nothing. So really good value for commuter students.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's great. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the school. Besides what I can find on the website, give me some of the inside skinny. What are some of the great things about Pfeiffer that folks may not know about?
The thing that really stands out with all of our students and even just recruits who are on campus taking a visit is just how friendly and helpful people are here. It is really the kind of place where you do get to know everyone. You're going to have classes with your teammates. You'll have lunch with them, or really every meal with your teammates. But you're also going to get to know students who have a common interest with you. We have a decent number of psych majors on our team, so they'll spend time with people who are within their major, and especially those who have an interest in performance psychology. So just in terms of the number of interactions you're going to have with people, it really is phenomenal on this campus. So you get to know each other really well, and I think the same goes for the the faculty and staff as well. So I'm not going to get these numbers exactly right, but one day I was giving a tour and the president of the campus just happened to walk by. So we stopped and chatted with the recruit. It said something to the effect of Pfeiffer is 44% more likely, or like our professors are 44% more likely to have conversations with the students about their career prospects than you'll get at your average school. And when you compare that to public schools, that number skyrockets. So we do have, I think we do have a good staff here, both with the professors and especially our athletic staff, where we're very invested in the people, not just what they can do for us in the classroom or on the soccer field. So it is very much a tight-knit community. So that's definitely one of our standout qualities. We're very invested in helping each other grow and become the best version of ourselves.
No, that's tremendous. Well, let's talk a little bit more about being both a student and an athlete, right? So, the academic side is what kids are there for, especially that Division III mantra, right, of the student first. So how do your players balance the demands of both in the classroom and on the field? And what kind of support systems does the school offer to help them?
Yeah, so, I mean, studies will show that students actually perform better when they're in season than when they're out. And that's something that I can verify with my guys as well. Yep, yeah, exactly. So I think when you look at it, the season, there's really not much difference between D1, D2, and D3. You're going to wake up, go to class, and then when your school day is finished, you'll come to training, usually at about 4:30 or 5. We'll go anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours. And then that gives you enough time to get to the cafeteria for dinner. So we'll play twice a week, typically a Wednesday and a Saturday, and the required day off is generally a Sunday. So the only reason that would change is, if we have a game Sunday or Monday. So but yeah, in general, that's what the schedule will look like in season. Out of season, we definitely encourage our guys to keep some kind of structure in their lives. So we know the benefit of playing sports in college. You just don't have as much time to goof around or binge watch Netflix. So we try to communicate to the guys that it'll be beneficial for them academically and socially. And even developmentally for soccer if they're still playing throughout the year. So, obviously we're hands off after our season ends, but our players do a really good job of setting up training sessions and getting each other to the field. So, I mean, even right now, I think the minimum that the whole group is getting together is 3 times a week. And then we have smaller groups that will get together anywhere from 5 to 6 times a week. So the guys do a really good job of holding each other accountable and getting each other to the training grounds. So I think for me, I'm definitely interested to see with the spring if that will carry over to the high academic standards as well. So that'll be a study that I run independently. So in terms of the academic support, we do 4 hours of study hall each week for incoming students. So the only way to get yourself off of study hall is to, if you're a freshman, get a 3.5 or better in your fall semester. Or if you are a returner, so sophomore or higher, you have to have above a 3.0. So if you have anything less than a 3.0, I'm going to see you here in the office each week. So we do have a couple of other programs. So we have a system in place in our campus where, Matt, if you were to miss 2 classes in a row, I get an email. If you fail 2 quizzes in a row, I get an email. If you fail an exam, I get an email. So parents love this. It's really our way of ensuring that that we're tracking their son's academic status. And if there are some red flags, we typically catch them early. And that's where we will require the student to get free tutoring, which is available through the campus. So we also have a writing center. So if anyone wants a paper proofread, or maybe they need help with structuring the article, if they need some kind of an outline and they want to test a thesis statement, The writing center offers free appointments there just to make sure that we're fitting the students' needs. So the academic support here at Pfeiffer is top notch.
It sounds like it, definitely. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the team and the soccer side of things. I know we were talking about recruiting earlier. So as you're wrapping up your class, is there a target roster size that you guys are trying to hit each year that you guys find is ideal?
So like many D3s, we do have a number. For us, it's 35. So that's what we held last year. We definitely saw that, when you have 35 on the team, you're kind of in an awkward spot where you don't have that full reserve team, so you can't give it a true experience for the players who really need that developmental time, not only in training sessions, but in games. So I think this year it might be a little bit closer to 40. And the idea there is just provide a true college soccer experience for these guys. So we'll still do a lot of the practices together as one team. So that is very important to us. We want everyone to know that when you come to Pfeiffer, you are part of our men's soccer program. You're not first team, reserve team, and there's no mingling between the two. We do want something holistic. So but I do think that's where, if we have a game on Wednesdays and Saturdays, now we can still have that reserve team catch a session. We're also targeting about 6 games for that reserve team over the course of the year, and I think now with 20 players on a reserve roster, we're probably looking at opportunities for the groups to scrimmage themselves over the course of the season. So that is one of our priorities in adding those few extra players, to just give a better experience to the reserve team.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. What about the staff? What's the kind of the staff makeup, roles everybody plays, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so Tony Faticoni is our head coach. So former D1 goalkeeper at Rutgers, 2-time national champion. So that's pretty phenomenal from a coaching perspective. If I can get one, I'll be pretty happy. So, but he's the head coach, and then I'm the right-hand man. So, when we get to our fall season, we'll look to add either a goalkeeper coach or a seasonal part-time assistant, just to make sure that we have an extra set of eyes at sessions. So last year we had Coach Gio training our goalkeepers, and that just allowed Coach Tony to shift his focus back to the field players and make sure that we were fully prepared on game day, and that we had 2 sets of eyes catching some of the tactical things we needed to see prior to games.
Okay. Well, in terms of the team, how would you describe kind of the coaching staff's philosophy there? Their style of coaching, style of play, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so in terms of the game model, we'd like to be possession dominant. So we want to be the aggressors, really take the game to our opponents. We like to have the ball at our feet. So we are your kind of side that's going to counter press. We want to engage in the high press. And we also know that we have to be tactically flexible too. So there are some games where we will not be able to play that system or that style. We always want to be the aggressor. We want to be the possession dominant squad, but we know that that's just not always going to be the case. So having that tactical flexibility is something that I think we do really well here. And that's where I think even going back to last year, we were having some issues with the high press. So, we decided to back off, go into more of a mid block, and we got better results over the course of the season. So, we do look to adapt based on personnel needs and just what we're seeing in the games. So, but in general, we have our big idea, something we want to stick closely to. And then from there, we'll make minor adjustments based on the opponent, or even just what our personnel is doing well or where they're struggling. So that tactical adaptability is pretty important.
Yeah, no, I think that's always important, especially when you get new players coming in every year, right?
Yes.
Well, we talked about what it looks like during the season. What does your off-season program look like? What are the guys doing now? What can they expect in their non-traditional season?
Yeah, so as soon as our season ends, like I said, we encourage the guys to try to keep that structure in place. So usually it's upperclassmen who lead the charge in setting up these extra training sessions or getting guys into the gym. We do have a weight room session or a workout plan available to our players throughout the year. So, we can't enforce it as a D3 when we're in that dead period, but they always have that resource available. And we do have a full-time strength and conditioning coordinator who can guide them through that process and just make sure that the technique is right. So, but yeah, in general, the field space is always there. Our guys always have a field that they can play on. Soccer balls, pennies, cones, you name it. Everything's available to our guys year round. So, if for the workaholics, the ones who are motivated, want to get on the field, this tends to be a really good place for them. So, I think that's where at D3 you really test your culture, see what you're made of, just based on the participation in the spring. So we do rely on our upperclassmen to make sure that we're preparing ourselves for August. Right now we're early March. We're about to start our spring season, March 13th. Fortunately, next year with the bump to 21 practices and 3 games at D3, we'll have a little more time with the guys. But while we're out of that time, out of that spring season, we are very dependent on the culture, and really that's the feedback we need. So we'll run some tests at the beginning of the spring, kind of see where everyone is, and that'll give us a lot of information on the psychological side of the game, making sure that the mental performance, both individually and as a group, is continuing to develop.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Well, I'm changing up the way I end these, so you're going to be one of my early guinea pig here, but I think you'll be okay. So as we wrap up, I really want to try to give folks, that one just nugget of info that maybe they weren't aware of. So if you could give one piece of advice to parents or players that may be watching this or listening in about the college recruiting process, if there's one thing you wish more people knew or that you find is just the extra important thing to know, what would that be?
The advice I give to every recruit as I walk them and their parents back to their cars is go where you're wanted, go where you're valued as a person, as a player, as a student. Don't get caught up on labels, on status. That's great. You have a buddy going to a Power 5 D1 school, and another buddy who's on athletic scholarship at D2. Figure out what's best for you. So I think ultimately when you look at the college game, we do have a lot of people who they do look at D3 as kind of a fallback. Some it's almost sounded like it's regarded as rec soccer for college, which it's crazy. Matt, I know you went to Catholic, so a very good D3 program. You're playing against high caliber athletes and grown men. This isn't the college or the high school game. You're not playing against 14 to 18-year-olds. You're playing against grown men. So, and especially at, D2 and above, you could be playing against 24, 25-year-olds. So, and, I think the push for international student athletes coming into the American college game, it just means more talent, domestic talent, is trickling down to D3. So, this class alone, we've done pretty well with MLS Next and ECNL players. So don't think that that caliber of play here is below what you had at high. It's a significant jump. So do the work. Make sure whatever workout plan you get for the summer, do it. Show up in shape, show up in form. Hopefully play against adults over the summer, and just make sure that when you show up, you're putting yourself in an environment where, again, you're valued, but then also where you can add value to it. So nothing's given, everything's earned. So go out and get it, but find the right place first.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely fantastic advice. Said similar things to many people, so glad to hear it from someone else. Coach, wish you the best of luck in the fall season. And if you get down to Bradenton for any of these recruiting events, give me a shout and we'll catch up. All right.
All right. Sounds good, Matt. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.